Hello, and welcome to Behind the Scenes of a Seven-Figure Coaching Business with me, Rob Birkhead.
And me, Ben Hughes. Over the past decade, we built Trinity Transformation to over 500 one-to-one online clients and seven figures in annual revenue. And it's been a real rollercoaster journey. We've put together this podcast to reveal the inner workings of a seven-figure online fitness business, as it's something we wish we had access to along the way, and it would have really helped us get there a lot faster. And so hopefully it'll help you too.
So, in today's episode, we're going to reveal the sales script that's responsible for 3.6 million in revenue and counting for our business. So, Ben, first off, Ben, just to give context to those listening, Ben's head of our sales and marketing team. So, I'm going to be asking Ben a lot of questions about this script today, as I know you've refined this, haven't you? So, why do you think we should have a script? Because I know some people we work with sales trainers and they kind of teach sales techniques, and it's not really the way we've operated. Rather than just techniques, we've always had a script and then techniques within that script. So why do you think it's important that we use a script?
So I think there's a few good advantages of using a script and having that sort of framework available. So one of the biggest ones is that if you've got something to read off, or at least a framework that you know you're following, it can change the way you approach the whole process of sales from a kind of an emotional process to more of a logical process. So you can sort of take the emotion out of it, especially when it gets to crucial moments like kind of pitching people and telling people what the price is and things like that, which is often people will get, they'll let their emotions come into it. They'll feel like, oh, I can't say that number for the price, or and it comes across in their voice that they're not confident with it, and they're not kind of they don't kind of believe in the thing that they're actually talking about. So first of all, having that script removes a lot of that anxiety and stress and worry about having to perform and having to kind of do a good job of the sales process. The second thing that I think is really valuable with the script as well is when you're taking on people to do sales for you, because as we've got more and more clients, we've got more than 500 clients at the moment, the amount of people that we're getting in. So we've had, I think, 25 new clients join this month in 19 days so far for this month. The amount of calls that have had to be completed to do those sales is a lot. So, let me try and have a look at how many calls. It's a large amount. Let's see if I can even pull the number up quickly enough. 130 calls booked for this month. So if me and you, Rob, if we had just taken 130 calls total, 65 calls each in 19 days, it wouldn't really leave much space for us to actually run the rest of the business, make sure that our clients are going well, manage all the team members, make sure our coaches are happy, just and work on also developing and growing the business at the same time. So you're spending all your time on the phone selling, you can't really work on improving the business. I think one of the things that allowed us to go from, sort of 300,000 a year to like up to 600,000 a year to 1 million a year was stepping back from more of the time intensive stuff like coaching, sales calls, etc., and then allowing our team to step into those roles, which is nice as well, because a lot of the team members that we brought on board do a better job of these things than we did in the past. But having that script available makes it much easier to train someone to be able to do your sales process for you. Because if you don't have a process or a script in place, you've got to do a lot of work to be able to get someone to the point where they can just get on the phone with someone and then just freestyle whatever it is they need to say to be able to get someone to sign up and to join the program. The other good thing about having a process, there's actually quite a few things, aren't there? But the next good thing about having the process is that if you know you've got a specific framework to follow that all of your team are following to try and sign people up, you can then identify if there are parts that are not working. Because you're doing the same process every time, you can look at those parts which are not working. Maybe there are parts where you can tell people are losing interest, or people are asking the same question for an additional piece of information at certain stages, or you're just kind of losing people at different points. You can then tweak the script and tweak the process until you've got a process which really, really works for your specific person, your specific product, your specific situation. So I think, yeah, there are many different ways to do sales. There are other people who will say, oh, you don't need a script, you just need to know how to sell. But I think arguably having a script is much better. And the final thing is just, even if you do have a script, you could go through our sales script word for word and it'll work. It'll give brilliant results. People will sign up. they'll be very happy that they've signed up. It makes the process easier for them, and they'll make a great client. But there will be times as well when our guys will deviate from the script. So there'll be, once you've got really fluent with the script, the next level of it is then there'll be parts of the script. Maybe you skip through certain parts, maybe you add certain parts in. So even though you've got a framework to follow, it doesn't mean you have to be rigidly stuck in following that exact framework every single time.
I think an analogy for this that just come to my mind is like going to the gym with no workout plan. I don't know for you, but for me, that's always a bit of a disaster. Sometimes I come up with a good workout. Usually I still write down a plan and then I have one. But if I don't have a plan and I just got going around, I'll use that machine and then I'll do a bit of bench and then, inevitably do bench, do some arms, skip the legs. Um, you don't get good results consistently. Maybe sometimes you get a good session, but a lot of the time you don't. It's a bit like that, where if someone has a workout plan to follow that's been proven and been refined and honed over time based on good theory and good fundamentals, then you can consistently get good results. So it's the same kind of thing. I also think it's important to point out, Ben, that you've just been on holiday for 2 weeks. You've done how many sales calls?
0 this month.
Yeah,
And
so
I've
Ben's
been on
been on
holiday
holiday.
since the 2nd of March. I haven't been here. And in that time, as we said, 25 new clients have signed up, which is amazing.
Yeah, so it's the 19th today. It's the mornings. We haven't really had any sign-ups today yet. Our sales team start about 10, so they're due to hopefully start making some more sales now and getting some new clients on board. But Ben hasn't had to do any sales calls, so he can focus, as you said, on making the business better, but also having a balanced quality of life, because it didn't used to be like that. I remember when we started doing phone sales in 2019, I think it was, in that summer. It was great. And I think you do need to do that to get the script sorted that we're talking about today and to get the experience. We did about 6 months, didn't we, before we hired our first salesperson, and we made decent sales, even though none of us had any sales experience. And I definitely see myself as a pretty average salesperson, but with that script, it could make it work. But I think long term, for most people, unless it's like you love doing it and you either don't need enough clients to that it doesn't matter if you go on holiday or you never want to go away. For most people, if you want that balanced life, I think you need a script so you can have a sales team, so you can then have, basically buy your time back. And for us, it's been a really beneficial experience. So
Definitely, yeah.
let's get into the purpose then. Let's get into the purpose of what the script is supposed to do, and then we'll get into the 13 steps of a successful script so people can actually create one for themselves if they don't have one. So before we get into the steps, what would you say are kind of like the overall, what's the underlying purpose of this script? What does it need to do to be successful?
So there's a few things that you need a sales script to do. The first thing is to give someone all the information that they need to be able to make a decision about whether they go forward and join your program or whether they decide to take another option. Obviously, for us, it's going to be most beneficial if somebody joins our program. We've put together a program for the clients we work with, women over 40, which works really, really well, delivers amazing results. We want them to join, but that's kind of not enough, because the key thing you need to do is you need to motivate them to want to join and to be really excited to sign up. And the second thing you want to do, so once you've given them all the info, you also want to find the right people to work with. So we've got our Trustpilot review rating is like 4 point something stars, 4.8 or something like that. It's very good. We get generally very, very good reviews from our clients. And one of the reasons we get good reviews is because we tend to work with clients that we think are going to be a good fit. So clients who we talk to them about their goals, find out if we can achieve those goals, make sure that we are very confident we can achieve those goals and deliver really, really good results. And also the sales process, it's almost kind of a screening process so that the client can decide, are they happy with us and what we offer? And we can decide, do we think this person's going to be a good client? And when you find that you're working with people that you really gel with and that really you're kind of aligned with, it's going to be a much more beneficial relationship in terms of you enjoying coaching people and them also getting amazing results and enjoying being coached by you. The third purpose of the sales script is that we want the outcome to be that no matter what happens during that sales process, that sales call, that they go away feeling motivated or they go away feeling that it was a positive experience. So if somebody doesn't buy, we want them to feel that they still got something positive about the call. So that if someone was to ask them afterwards, how did that call go that you had with that company? They'll say, well, I didn't sign up, but actually the guy I spoke to is amazing and he was really helpful and I got these tips and I was able to put these into action even though I didn't join the program. So we want the overall, the feeling that they get to be positive as a result of going through that sales process.
Definitely. And there's a few fundamentals we have on the top of our script, I think, to help. I don't think we really need them as much now, but for a new salesperson to get them in the right zone, what it's quite funny because they've been on there ages and they're kind of, there's some things in capitals and some things in red. It's not like the most perfect looking thing at least at the top. It does look pretty good after that. What are kind of the some of the fundamentals? I think they're around what you're already mentioning. Like there's one thing we have on there that says release all attachment to a yes. What does that mean?
So you want to release all attachment to a yes. So don't, because I think when you're worried about what decision this person is going to make, whether they're going to say yes or whether they're going to say no, you can come across a bit kind of desperate. And as soon as you start coming across desperate and trying to like really persuade someone to get the sale, and that kind of pushes people away, it turns people off. We've all been in that experience where, you know, you've got either a door-to-door salesman or a car salesman or whatever it is, and they're really kind of pushy, and all you really want is just like, you just want to get away from them. You just want to shut the door or walk out the showroom, or you want to get away from that. So by releasing all attachment to a yes, you need to almost play it cool and be okay with the fact that, you know, if they say no, you need to be able to go, oh yeah, it's absolutely no problem. Kind of not take it personally, and just kind of make sure that on the call, your role is to get them to make the best possible decision for them. Um, you're there to really provide the best decision for them, which obviously, ideally, we want to coach them, we want to get the best possible results with them. But you need to be okay with that not happening as well.
Yeah, and I was actually reading Noah Kagan is a guy I like to follow. It's a good podcast. He's got a new book called $1 Million Weekend, and just to give context, his business is AppSumo. I think makes 80 million a year, so he's pretty experienced in business. And he tells a story in this book about his dad, who was a door to door, well, I guess a shop to shop sort of salesman of printers. His dad was an immigrant into America and he was trying to sell printers, and he would go around with his dad whilst his dad was trying to sell printers, and he would get told no and he'd get told no and no, not interested. And his dad was always happy about it. And he asked his dad why. And his dad said, I like to just count the rejections because I know if I get enough rejections, I will then get a yes. And it's kind of the same on phone sales. You're not going to get everyone saying yes, but if we know our ratio, so we typically get like 1 in 5 people who book a call and about half of them answer. So about 1 in 2 people who answer are going to say yes. So you're going to always get rejection. If I can get 10 rejections, I'm probably going to get 5 new clients. So if you can split that thing from trying to get a yes to like, you know, if I get a rejection, that's just another step towards me getting a sign up. And we do tend to see, as a side note, don't we, trends of like some weeks we'll just seem to get loads of no's. And then the next week, like yesterday, we had 4 people sign up from I don't know how many calls, but not many. Like we had a day of 4 people sign up for long, you know, expensive programs, essentially, you know, paying quite a hefty chunk of money, where it's been a little bit slow up the week before. So it kind of goes up and down. But if you can be almost happy getting those rejections, which is hard, and go, okay, if I've got rejection, that means the next person is more likely to be a yes, then you're kind of in the right mindset, I would say. So let's get stuck into the script itself. I'm sure people are keen to hear what this needs to look like. So we've broken this down into 13 steps. Our script has 13 headings through it. We're not going to read out the exact script because that's kind of our intellectual property that we spent years developing, and it's earned us 3.6 billion in revenue so far. That's if you just put all time on our Stripe, that's what it says. So instead, what we're going to do is go through each section and tell you what it needs to achieve. Because really, for you, it needs to look different anyway. It's going to be personalized to you, your approach, your business. But if you understand the steps you need to go through, these are the steps you always need to go through to make a sale. And to do it in a way that is not pushy, is not sleazy, is not unpleasant for the person. We want it to be a pleasant process, whether they sign up or not. So Ben, what's the first step then of the 13?
So the first step that we like to go through is what we call it build rapport. So the first thing you want to do when you've just dialed that person's number, you've waited for them to a few rings to go through, and they pick up and they say, hi, hello. You want to build rapport. I always want to think have I got this person to smile or laugh or something in the first couple of minutes of the call? So the first thing we like to do is go through and introduce yourself, but also, ask if it's them. So, hi, I'm speaking to Ben, for example, the first thing. And then you might say, hi, Ben, this is Ben. I don't know why I'm speaking to myself from Trinity. And then just a few casual questions, maybe asking, how's it going? How are you doing today? How's your day going so far? We also like to add a couple of other questions like, are you working today? What is it that you do for work? Whereabouts in the country are you from? If it's a Monday, you could say, did you have a good weekend? Or if it's like a Thursday, are you having a good week so far? Just basically going through, just having a little nice chat with someone, being sort of polite, catching up with someone, not jumping straight into like, hi, the way I wouldn't want to do it would be, hi, is that Claire? Hi, Claire, I'm Ben from Trinity. I'm here to sell you a fitness program today. Like, we don't want to jump straight into like a very serious sales process right from the start. I want to actually take an interest in this person. So what was I going to say? So we go through
One thing
that.
I want to quickly
Yeah, go for it.
also mention is you don't want that to be too long either, though, do you? You don't want to get into like the life story because you're going to
No,
ask more
no.
in-depth questions. So it is a fine balance, I think, because sometimes in the past I've messed that up and it's like 20 minutes later you're looking at your watch and like I have not got into this and now I've lost control of the call, right? You still want to
Yeah.
be in control of it. So it's
Yeah.
a fine balance.
The point you don't want to get to, which the next stage we'll go through in a second, this will kind of make sense then. But if you spend so much time building rapport that they then start asking, all right, so how much does the program cost? Or what is the program? Can you tell me a bit more information about that? You don't want them to get to that point where they start almost, they are getting fed up with the small talk and they want to get down to business. So you got to judge the point where you actually say the next thing, which I like to just, you're transitioning it from that build rapport into we're actually going through this process by asking them, shall we get started with the call and shall we see how we can help you? Um, so that's kind of the first bit. Another side note as well, during that process of asking how their day's going, what they up to, what they do for work, all of that, if you can find some sort of common ground as well that you have with them. So if they say, oh, I'm from Bath, and you say, oh, I actually went to uni there. It's a really nice city, isn't it? Which part are you from? Oh, I'm from here. Oh, I know there. I used to go to that coffee shop, blah, blah. If you can find like a connection with that person as well, it's just going to ease them into it and just get them more relaxed. Because ideally, when you're being sold to, the more kind of relaxing, the more enjoyable the salesperson makes the process, the nicer it is. So you want to make it really enjoyable, really easy for that person.
Awesome. So that's the first one, build rapport. What's the second piece that you need to do?
So once we've gone through that, we've asked, shall we get started with the call? Um, Hopefully they go, yes, let's get started with the call. I mean, I don't think we've ever had anybody say, no, let's not continue with the call. Then we want to really set the frame. So you just want to explain, how the process is going to work, how everything's going to play out. Like you're kind of taking charge of the call and saying, we're doing this, then we're doing A, B, C, D, E, F, because we want a nice framework. Because if you don't really set that framework, sometimes you'll get people who, there's a lot of important stages that we'll go through. If you get to stage 3 and then somebody at that point they say, oh, actually, okay, fine, great, I see what you're saying, but can you just tell me what the price is? We're jumping from stage 3 to like stage 12 of the process, and there's going to be a disconnect there because you kind of need to take people through the process step by step in order for it to be as successful as it possibly can be. So in the second stage of set the frame, you just need to lay out basically what you're trying to accomplish. So we like to kind of, first of all, state a bit about what we're about. So we like to say that we run one of the world's best private coaching programs for women over 40. We've got 500 clients. We've only got a limited number of spaces we can allocate. And, we don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste your time. So here's some expectations. There's 2 things that we like to tell people that we're going to accomplish during the call. So the first one is just letting them know that we want to get clear about their background, what they've done in the past, what they do at the moment, what they're trying to achieve. So just that the call is really going to be about us finding out more information about them to make sure that they're going to be a good fit for what we do. The second thing that we want to achieve is just letting them know that based on that conversation, based on all the information we find out, if we're a good fit together to work together, then we're going to be offering them an opportunity to join our program, to work with us more closely on a one-to-one basis. The final thing we like to say is that we are kind of what we're looking for at the end of this call is a yes or no decision about signing up. Like, you're going to be required to make a decision during this call about whether you can go ahead today. And is that okay? Yes or no? So at that stage, you'll either get people go, yep, brilliant, I can commit to making a decision. Sometimes you'll get people say, well, I'll need to know the information. And you can always just reassure people and say, no problem, we'll give you all the details that you need. And then once you've got all that info, you'll be able to make a decision. Sometimes you'll get people who say they're not able to make a decision, or they can't commit to making a decision about joining during the call. And in those situations, it's then kind of, you then move into finding out a bit more information, like what do you think is going to stop you making a decision, or why you're not going to come to a decision. And ultimately, sometimes there'll be people who they've booked the call, but they're kind of not really in a position to go ahead at the moment. Maybe it's because they've got a month-long holiday booked or something like that, or financially they've just had loads of bills come out and they don't have the finances to actually join at this moment. And in those circumstances, sometimes it's better to just kind of end the call there, reschedule the call. Don't, in a nice, or everything is done in a really nice, polite way. Just say, oh, absolutely no problem. How about you reschedule the call for a better time for you? Because, we don't want to go through 30, 45 minutes here today, knowing that, you're not able to go ahead. So stage 2 is basically just setting the frame. Key thing is just making it clear that you're kind of in charge of the call, setting out all of the expectations of exactly what's going to happen. And then once you've done that, we can start moving into kind of the main meat of the call.
Awesome. So let's get into the meat then. So the next 3 are kind of all linked, aren't they? They're all linked to, it sounds quite harsh, I guess, but all linked to pain, because in my experience, if someone doesn't have any pain points, so they're not struggling with anything, pain is an extreme word, but they are in pain in some way, right? Then they're not going to make a decision, and they're not going to be able to kind of be motivated to change it. So what are these 3 points about pain, Ben? And like, what kind of questions would you use to help people with this to kind of motivate them towards helping themselves?
So sections 3, 4, 5. So we start with find the pain. 4 is expand the pain, and 5 is release the pain. And during all of these stages, the key thing is that you're really there to ask questions. You're not there to kind of make judgments about somebody and, suggest things and kind of point them in the wrong direction. And that's not really it. All we're trying to do is find out whether they do have a pain or a problem that they really want to solve, and one that we believe that we actually can help them solve. Because ultimately, if we get on a call with somebody and they say, well, actually they're like they're a size 8 and they're a triathlete fitness competitor or something, and they're actually very happy with their body and they don't really need to lose any weight. The reality is, with what we do, which is helping people lose weight loss is like our main thing. It might be that even though they have that, whatever pain they have is not something that we actually solve. So we want to find out that the problem that somebody's got is something that we can actually do a really good job of solving, and we can really help them with. So the first stage, which we call find the pain, is firstly just kind of getting an overall gauge on what this person wants, what they're looking to achieve, what's kind of important for them. So I like to ask, what was it that made you want to reach out and book this call with us rather than other coaches and trainers? So you're just looking for, what made the person reach out and book the call with us. Some people will say, they'll jump straight in and they'll say, well, actually, I've been really struggling with my weight for years, and it's really starting to impact on my health and my mindset, and it's impacting on my family life. And they'll jump straight in and they'll have a really kind of, this will be a really painful problem that they really want to solve. And they know that by solving this, it's going to give them happiness. It's going to help them improve their life. Other people will be kind of one step back from that. So they might say, well, actually I want to lose a bit of weight. So they know they want to lose weight, but they don't see it as like a really painful problem, that they don't identify it as something that's really causing issues over the whole of their life. And then other people will be another step back from that as well. And you'll say, what is it that made you reach out? And they'll say, oh, well, I just saw your advert on YouTube or whatever. So depending on what stage somebody's at, there, it's then your job to do a bit more digging, maybe asking them, well, what's your overall goal in terms of fitness? What are you looking to achieve? Why is it really important that you achieve that at the moment? When you achieve that, what do you think that's going to get you? And you want to ask ask questions again, not suggesting, not putting words in people's mouth, not trying to force people to admit that they have some sort of problem that they don't actually have. But you just want to ask questions and really find out more about this problem and this person, um, until you're kind of confident that you think, right, this is really something that is important for this person to solve. They are struggling with their weight. It is negatively impacting them, and they want to find a solution to that. So the first stage is finding that pain, and a key thing to indicate it, to sort of let you know that you've got to the right kind of level with it, is just when somebody lets you know that their fitness is affecting other areas of their life. So whether that is their health, whether that's their connection and their relationships, whether that's their career, just knowing that that's having a negative impact on other areas of their life is a good indicator that it's quite a pressing problem for that person to solve.
And sometimes we get people who, I think it's quite a British condition, right, are not very open about talking about these things, and they're quite shut off, and you have to really help them to see that it is a bigger issue for them. I'm not saying, as you said, don't force them to see it, but sometimes you can tell it is. But they're really help. The classic, like, "How are you doing today?" "I'm good." That's like the default response we always say. And sometimes we get people, don't we, we're speaking to, and we can tell from they say, "Oh, my weight is this," and we can tell for their height that's probably quite an unhealthy weight, and they're probably not feeling good. It's probably affecting a lot of things. But they go, "Oh, it's kind of fine. I've been like this for ages, and I just wanted to have a quick chat." And what do you do in that scenario? I guess that's where the kind of expand the pain bit may come in.
So in that situation, and yeah, as you've said, you might get people who say, you know what, well, I'm a bit heavier than I want to be, but it doesn't really affect me. I'm completely happy with everything. I'm like, I'm absolutely fine. I love my job. I love my family life. Everything's brilliant. But sometimes in that situation, that might actually be the reality. Some people you just have to accept, actually, they don't really need to lose weight in order to be happy. They're actually very content with their life, despite being slightly heavier than they want to be. Like, they like the idea of losing weight, but it's not causing enough problems for them that they actually are going to want to solve it. Sometimes that's just the way it is, and you've got to sort of accept that and just respect that, with people. But there are a few things you can ask. So there are great questions you can ask, such as, you could say, all right, well, if everything's amazing for you at the moment, why do you want to lose weight? Why is that kind of really important for you? Why not just stay exactly as you are? Why put all of the effort and time into following a fitness program if you don't think it's going to have a big impact on you? So you can dig as much as you possibly need in order to, because as you said, some people, either they're almost in denial about how much their fitness and their health is impacting other areas of their life, or they just haven't really thought about it, or they haven't really put two and two together. They've just kind of, it's been such a problem for such a long period of time that they don't really necessarily see the impact that it's having. So it's almost about helping them to link their fitness goals to having a negative impact on other areas of their life. So once you've found that pain, once you're confident that this person, they have a need to solve a problem in their life, it's just about kind of expanding the pain and just kind of helping them to go into more detail. Because the more details you can go into here, um, the more you're going to want to, the more that person's going to want to solve that problem.
Okay, and then the last stage of this section, I suppose, the find the pain, expand the pain. The last one is release the pain. What does that look like, and what's that about?
Awesome. So once you've gone through this whole expand the pain process, maybe asking, how is this affecting the rest of your life? How long have you been struggling with this? If nothing was to change, how is this going to impact you in the future? What's the biggest worry that you've got about your weight if it continues to increase? It's This bit can be it's quite a negative part of the process here. This is kind of like we've hit rock bottom now. We've gone down and we've really decided, oh, this is actually having a massive negative impact, and it's going to continue having a negative impact. The problem is you can't go straight from you've brought this person down to quite a low emotional state we don't want to just leave it there. We want to give them hope, bring them back up to a more positive emotional state, because although they might feel hopeless, or they might feel that they're completely stuck or trapped in this situation, we know that it's 100% possible for them to solve it, because we've done it for multiple people in the past. We've done it for hundreds of clients, thousands of clients previously. So what I like to ask next when we release that pain is I like to say, let's imagine for a second that we could solve all of this for you. Um, what would that look like? What would that kind of feel like? What would that look like for you? So we now want them to paint a really clear picture of, I want to be a size 8. I want to be able to run 5K and do 10 push-ups and do 3 pull-ups and this and that, and I wear all my favorite clothes and blah blah blah. So we want to know, what is this person's ideal situation? What is their ideal body weight? What's their ideal clothing size? And then we can compare that to where they are now in terms of their weight, in terms of their dress size. And I like to then let people know kind of a realistic estimate, because especially with what we do with weight loss, it's kind of a different approach. If somebody's got like 6 stone to lose and somebody's got 1 stone to lose, it's a different time scale. So we'll then say, based on previous clients, I think that's going to take you 6 months to achieve that weight loss that you're looking for. During this release the pain section as well. So that's kind of the release the pain done. Just get them to paint that picture of how they'd like their life to be. But we also like to find out and gauge whether we think it's actually going to be possible to get them those results. Because if what we do isn't going to fit in with their lifestyle, there's no point in us continuing and pitching them this program and blah blah blah, and only for them to say, do you know what, that doesn't work for me, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I also like to find out, in terms of your lifestyle, what would you need things to be like with your eating and with your exercise? This could be really realistic, really sustainable for you. Things like, how many times can they exercise per week? Do they want to do it at home or at the gym? What do they need their food to be like? Do they have any food intolerances? Do they travel for work? Do they need to grab lunch on the go? Do they have to cook for the rest of the family? All of that sort of stuff. So I find we like to find out all of that information. And then the ideal outcome, once we've got through these sections 3, 4, 5, is to just let them know that based on everything they've said, we think it sounds 100% possible, 100% achievable for them to achieve what they're looking for.
And I think that's about giving them the confidence, isn't it, as well? It's kind of, some people describe it as a transfer of confidence from you to them, because we know it's possible. We've done it with so many clients, but they don't necessarily know. And they're feeling, as you said, Ben, they've kind of felt quite low, and we're talking about all those kind of truths about where they're at that they maybe have buried for years. So then you say it's 100% possible, and it gives them hope. So once we've done that, there's a few key steps we need to make again before. I think people might be tempted again to jump to the offer. I think there's a big lesson in all of this of like pacing it, not going too quickly to try and just get to like, here's the thing, do you want to buy it? I know Paul Mort, who used to mentor us, would always talk about, it's kind of like dating. And I won't say the exact thing he said. Well, I can say the exact thing he said. He used to say, you know what I'm going to say. He used to say, here's my dick, would you like to suck it? Is not a good way to like chat someone up. I know that's rude, but it's a very memorable thing. And that's how a lot of people are doing sales, or they're getting halfway through it and then doing that. Really, you need to make sure you go through all the stages of getting to know each other, really understanding them, making them feel heard, and then slowly progressing to escalate it. But at this point, it's still too early to do that. So there's a few more key steps I think people skip that you've got to get right. So we've released the pain. What's next?
So at this stage now where we've released the pain, hopefully the person we're talking to, they feel like they've got a problem that needs to be solved. They feel that there's somewhere that they want to go, to a result they want to achieve. They feel that it's possible to achieve that result. What they don't necessarily know is that we, as the person they're talking to, are going to be the ideal person to solve that for them. They know they want to solve it. They don't necessarily know they want to solve that with us. So the next section that we call self-admission, is just posing a question. And the original question, like this script is kind of cobbled together from many different sales trainings and things that we've watched done in the past. The original question that this used to be was, I want you to assume something. I want you to assume that after this call, we finish this call, I go downstairs, I step out my house, I cross the road, and immediately I get hit by a bus and I'm killed, and we can never speak again, and we can never work together towards this goal. We changed it slightly because We used to get people, people just it kind of distracted people. The whole "I'm going to get hit by a bus" thing would put people into a mindset of like, "Oh no, oh that'd be awful. Oh, I don't want to think about that kind of thing." I think because the people that we work with, maybe this works with more of a male audience, but when we're working with women in their 40s and 50s, um, they're very kind of caring and sympathetic. They don't want to necessarily think about me getting hit by a bus, but the overall question is, I want you to assume that for whatever reason, once we're done with this call, you and I can never speak again. We can never do anything together to work towards this goal, whatever it is, you losing this 2 stone and getting into your favorite clothes, but you still want to achieve that. What's going to be the biggest challenge to you doing this by yourself? So that's the key bit. What's going to be the biggest challenge to you doing this by yourself? And then they'll say something in this section. For example, it could be that they might struggle with motivation, that they don't know what to do with their nutrition, they don't know what to do with their exercise. We want to know what's the biggest reason that they're not going to be able to succeed by themselves. And then based on that, we then reassure them, well, we're going to help you to improve your motivation, or we're going to keep you motivated. We'll be able to give you accountability, or we're going to give you a really specific food plan so you know exactly what you're eating, or we're going to give you a really structured, specific workout plan that's perfect for you, works from home, works around your joint issues. With all of this, although there is a script, a big part of it is also personalizing it to exactly what that person's been saying. So just throughout the whole process, all of that, all of those pain points and everything like that, what they want to achieve, I will have been taking notes, writing down, they've got problem with their left knee. They don't like couscous. They want to exercise from home and they've got dumbbells. They haven't got a huge amount of space in their home. They've got a partner who likes to drink a lot of wine on the evenings. So I've got a good idea about what this person is. So therefore I'm personalizing everything to be exactly what's going to work for that person, because, ultimately we can deliver that nice personalized solution. So we want to personalize that as much as possible. So once we've got that section done,
One
where
sec,
they
Ben.
kind of
I know you're
go
going to get
ahead.
into the next bit. You're going to have to continue this solo for a bit. I've got someone here to pick up my bike that's bought my bike. So if you finish the podcast, I know you know what you're talking about. So I hope everyone enjoys it. I'll be back in a bit.
No worries. Rob's off doing some selling in the middle of a podcast about selling. So the next stage, once we've gone through getting them to kind of let you know what is their biggest struggle, why do they need our help, and we can let them know we're going to help you, we're going to reassure them, we're going to help you to get this solution. We then want to know not only why have they chosen us to help them, but why do they want that solution right now? Why is it really crucial that they get that solution right now? So the next section is gaining commitment. So I like to ask people, this has been going on for a while. We've already talked about that in the past. So you've told me this has been going on for 5 years. Your weight's been increasing. You've been struggling with this for a long period of time. Why is it a must that you do this right now? So we want to ask that. The answer I'm looking for is because I'm fed up. I really want to solve this. I'm fed up of choosing clothes to cover up problem areas. I am fed up of struggling to go up the stairs and being out of breath. We want them to say, really, I can't take this anymore. I really want to solve this. Let's do this right now. Occasionally you'll get people who'll say, well, actually, it's not that important. I don't really need to solve it right now. It's not absolutely essential. There's lots of other things in my life that are more important. In that situation, we need to dig a bit deeper. So another good question is, if you're not sure how important this is, you can ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is getting this result for you? In an ideal world, you want someone to say, boom, 10 out of 10. This is so important for me to solve my fitness goals. The reality is, though, when you're working with people who are busy, they've got lots going on, they've got jobs, they've got families, they've got all of these other things, it might not necessarily be their number one priority to solve their fitness goals. Even if you know as like a fitness professional that if they continue struggling with their fitness, you can clearly see like this is making them very unhappy. This is going to lead to future health problems and other complications. It doesn't matter if you know that, they've got to really know that. So you can ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is getting this result for you? Let's say, I would say you want at least an 8 out of 10. If you're not at an 8 out of 10, if somebody says it's a 5, you really need to dig into that and say, okay, what stopped you from rating that any higher? Why is that seems quite low? Why have you only rated that a 5? It doesn't seem that that's that important for you, because you've also got to be as we said at the start, we're not committed to like forcing somebody to join our program or sign up if it's not necessarily what they want to do or what's best for them. So if somebody says it's not really that important for me, you've got to be absolutely okay with saying, no problem at all. You know, we can only work with people who are really committed, who really want to solve this, and it's kind of top of their priority list, because that's true. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we care about our review scores and the results we get with clients, and we're only going to get those good reviews and those good results with people who are super committed to getting those results. So ideally, you want to find out why didn't they rate that higher? And a lot of the time, people will say things like, well, obviously, you know, my top priority is my kids, and my second priority is providing for my family and my partner. And so that's why I haven't rated it a 10 out of 10. That's why I've only put this at a 7. But as long as you can be happy that, you know, other than this person's family, their kids, their uh, you know, their finances, all of these things, other than these things, their fitness comes like next on the list. So it's kind of the next top priority after all those essentials. Then you know, that's reasonable in reality. You can't expect somebody to say that their fitness goals are more important than their kids. That's just going to be unrealistic. So once we've gone through that, amazing, great, glad that's a 10 out of 10. It's time to kind of wrap everything up, which this is the next section, which we call be the expert, which is it's kind of just wrapping everything up in a similar way to we did at the start when we kind of stated, you know, set the frame and said what we are going to do during the call. So section 8, sorry, be the expert, is basically telling them 100% that we can get the results they want. And, you know, don't tell someone that you can get the results they want if you're not actually able to deliver those results. You've got to actually be confident you can deliver the results before you do this. So we wrap it up and say something like, okay, Claire, based on the conversation we've had today and your demonstration that, you know, right now is a real must for you to lose those 2 dress sizes, get to that point where you're feeling amazing in all your clothes, you're able to keep up with your kids and your grandkids, your health's improved, XYZ, all the things they want. We can say, I'd be happy to allocate you a space in our private coaching program. And I'm 100% confident we can make all of your goals reality over the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. All that's left now is to run through all the details of how we work with our clients, and then we can get you signed up. So we're basically just stating, here's what we've talked about, here's what I think now, and I think we can definitely help you get the results you're after. The next section then is what we call make the offer. Now, this one is going to kind of depend on who you're talking to and what your kind of ideal customer is like. But for us, working with women over 40, we found that the women that we talk to, they really like to have as much information as possible so they can make a really good kind of informed decision as to what's going to work best for them. I think one of the reasons for that is there are so many things out there in the fitness industry which are, for better words, bullshit, really, that they've signed up to in the past. They've invested money in other programs and trainers and coaches and things like that, which have promised amazing solutions and amazing results, ultimately to not give them the results that they wanted. So they really are kind of cautious about signing up. So we like to give people all of the information. So we will then run through, I'm not going to give you the full breakdown of this because it's probably like a 5 minutes of us just talking and letting them know exactly what we're achieving. So things like, you know, how does the program work? What's the first thing that happens when they join the program? Why is what we do very unique? That we understand the challenges that the women face that we work with, how we work with women's changing hormones, what we do in the first 12 weeks, how that also helps with long-term health, how we help make sure our clients are carrying functional muscle, the mindset stuff that we do, how we help people make better choices with nutrition, how the coaching works, how the program works long-term so that it's not a quick fix, it's kind of a long-term solution, what happens in terms of exercise, what happens in terms of coaching, and what happens when things don't go 100% to plan and life throws you a curveball. And all of this information that we go through is basically based on questions people have asked us before. So we used to have a much more brief version of like just generally like, here's how the program works. It's 12 weeks. You know, we'll work with you one-to-one, blah, blah, blah. But then we get people ask, okay, so how does the nutrition work? How does the exercise work? How does this work? How does the coaching work? So we've just included all of that information from our frequently asked questions, basically, so that when we're going through this now, everyone's like, amazing, yeah, great, yeah, listening along really intently, and we get to the end of this piece, and then you can ask, I know I've covered quite a lot. Is there anything else you need to know before signing up? And people often go, no, that's amazing. I think you've run through absolutely all the details that I need there. There's one key detail that we do leave out though in this process, which is what is the actual price? Where, like, how much does it actually cost? And I know different sales processes do this in different ways. Some people like to put, just have the price on the website and you just know it before you've even booked the call. Some people will go through it right at the very start of the call. Um, we've found for us it tends to work to we figure out whether we can actually help this person, let them know that we can give them a solution, find out more about them, tell them how it all works, and then run through sort of the financial side of things afterwards. But before we run through that, we really want them to ask the key question: how much does it cost? How much actually is it? And only when we've got that permission to do that will we then run through letting people know what the actual investment is.
I'm back. Just for the if anyone's listening, apologies. I had a mountain bike, quite an expensive one that I was selling on Facebook Marketplace, and I wanted to. Typically, I got a message halfway through the podcast saying I'm not coming in the afternoon anymore. When I said I was going to come, I'm coming in the morning. So anyway, that's all dealt with. I've done a sale, just like we're talking about today. Didn't need a script for that one. Got the cash in my pocket. We'll get back to the script. So you've gone through right, you've gone through the offer now, so you've explained how it works, why it's different as well, so they understand all of that. And they then ask that question, right? They say, how much does it cost? Or, what happens next? Sometimes they say that as well, don't they? Which is kind of alluding to what kind of the cost is. So I think this is a bit where you can really stumble. I think it's something I was really terrible at the start is like umming and ahhing around the cost and being like, oh, well, uh, and that's really difficult. I think this is one really good thing we were taught from our sales training. As you said, Ben, we've had loads of different sales training from loads of mentors and sales professionals. And the key thing is make it really simple for people, right? And easy to understand. If you have like 15 prices and you've got to go through them for 5 minutes, they're going to get lost. And I've had these kind of sales processes as well, where the person, let's say it's a car salesman, starts to go, well, it depends how you pay, and and I just want to know what it costs. Like, what's the monthly payment? If it's going to be a finance, what's the upfront one? Like, do I need to place a deposit? Like, what's that? So, when it comes to selling kind of like an online fitness program, how do you recommend, or how maybe a better way of putting it is how have we found that works best for people?
Got it. Yeah. Quickly, first of all, something that you kind of touched on there. Sometimes people won't actually ask that question, how much does it cost? They'll say something
Mm.
similar, what happens next? And you've just got to keep saying, all right, well, the next thing to do then is we'll just get you signed up. We can go through the costs and get you signed up. But still, you want them to say, okay, what is the cost? So you keep going with the questions, asking, what else do you need to know? What else do you need to know before signing up? But once you get to that point, this is where having a script, I think, really comes into its own. So as you said, Rob, like we only want to give someone one number, I think. So what we like to do, because we've got so many different prices. We've got, 6 month, 3 month programs, 6 month program, 12-month programs. We've got upfront payment options and monthly options for both. We've got a email support option. We've got a phone support option. We've got, how many prices is that? That's 12 different prices available. So if we were to run through 12 different prices for someone, um, as soon as you give someone too many numbers, too many choices to make, they have to think about it, which makes sense because, if you give me 12 options to pick from, I'm going to have to spend longer thinking about it to figure out which one's going to be the best for me. If you give me two options, it's easier to say I can either have this or this. What wine do you want, red or white? I can just say red, that's fine. But if you give me a wine list with like 50 things in it, I'm going to have to read through the entire thing before I eventually choose which one I'm going to choose. Um, so we like to just give somebody one option. So the way when you come to this pitch section, you've really got to say it in a really matter of fact kind of way. So if you are like not comfortable with your own pricing and what you're charging for your coaching or your program or whatever it is you're selling, it's going to come across. So if in your voice, someone will hear if you can make it sound expensive by the way that you say it. So if you go like, oh well, to join our program, it's actually, it's quite a lot. It's it's like it's £2,000. Hopefully that's all right with you, whatever. Like you can come across really kind of unconfident with it, and they'll go, oh yeah, that is quite a lot. Like you can lose the sale just in this one bit. So instead of that, you need to just say, okay, to work with us one to one, it's going to be £2,000. Like just matter of fact, if you can go down with the intonation at the end, it's just £2,000. Like that's fine. Rather than just £2,000, like don't do anything weird. But if you just have it written out, this specific part, you can just sort of dissociate from the entire call. Don't like, don't worry about it. Just focus on just reading the words in a really flat tone of voice. You can do there's many different ways of how you can structure your pricing and how you can decide how much you're charging. How do you structure that charging? How do you kind of frame it? One thing we like to do is give almost a price range. So we'll tell people what's the most expensive that it could possibly be to work with us. Um, and then we'll kind of go then give them the price that we think is going to work for them. So, for example, we might give them for 12 months, it's going to be this much, but because you're only doing 3 months, it's only going to be this much. And that amount might be like a third of the 12-month price. So that can work quite well, giving someone a range so that they first hear a very, because one thing I've heard is the first number you give somebody, their brain already goes, no, that's expensive. So it doesn't matter what it is, but you give someone a very big number and then you give them a second number, and it gives a nice bit of contrast so that um, they think the second number is more of a reasonable price. I think that's just it's a human nature thing of whatever the first amount that you hear is, you think that's expensive. You almost want to have said no to one thing to be able to then say yes to the next thing. Another thing we like to do as well is give a bit of an action takers discount, because we found, if we offer a massive discount like 50% off if you sign up during the call, it's a really big incentive for somebody to join during the call. And that has loads of different benefits, because one of the main benefits is if somebody goes and thinks about it after you've given them the price, even if we've been through this call, they've realized they can't fix this fitness problem themselves. They've been struggling with it for 10 years. It's really negatively impacting their life. They really want these results. Going to help them with every area of their life. It's going to improve their family life, their health, everything. And it's within their grasp financially as well. That everything's pointing to, yes, this is going to be a brilliant coaching relationship between us and this new client. They might then go and think about it, and they'll talk themselves out of it. Even if it actually logically is a good decision, they'll convince themselves they can do it by themselves, or that they'll find a different option or whatever. And inevitably, we've seen this lots of times. They'll go away, they'll try that other option, they'll try it by themselves. They probably won't succeed because they haven't been able to succeed for the past decade with this same thing by themselves. And then they'll come back to us having wasted another 6 months. And at that point, they'll want to maybe sign up with us and work with us, or they just won't come back to us because they're almost kind of embarrassed to come back and admit that they tried by themselves and they didn't succeed. So while this person is in a position where it's like they're ready to buy, they're ready to take action, they're ready to join and see amazing results with their fitness, we want to get that commitment during that call. So we go through this whole process. Our most, your program, the most expensive price might be £10,000. Say, right, it's £10,000 for this, but we're gonna get you on board for a lot less. We'll also knock £50 off. So today it's just going to be whatever it is, whatever your price is, £1,500, £1,000, whatever it is, for everything that we talked about today and for everything that you really want to solve. And then once you've said that, you've just got to stay really completely quiet as well. So today it's just £1,500 for the program, for everything you've told me today that you really want to solve. And you just want to wait. You're waiting for an answer there from them of either, amazing, let's get signed up. That's the best case possible scenario. You obviously don't always get that. People just going, amazing, let's get signed up. I'll give you my card details now. A lot of the time you get, that's a bit more than I thought, or okay, yeah, I'm all right with that price, but I've got a few more questions. There might be something more after this. So then the next part of the call is going to be a bit more. This is probably the most sort of skillful part of the call. Once you've given all that information, everything previously can just be basically just said from a script, but then you really have to sometimes freestyle it to actually get that person signed up once they've got the price and all the other information.
Yeah, so the objection handling is the most skillful bit. I think we can probably save that for a whole nother call on all, because there's a few classic objections on there. I need to talk to my partner. I need to think about it. I need to check my finances. It's too expensive. These are the kind of the classic ones. And we'll do a whole nother session on that because that's quite a long one in itself, as you said. But what we do have in the script is kind of some example responses, don't we, for the most common objections. So again, for an untrained salesperson or a new person to your business who's doing this, or if you're new, then you can at least have that and kind of try those techniques out. But there's a lot for each objection. And again, this needs to come from a place of going, I know this person's struggling. I really think it's unlikely they're going to succeed on their own or with other approaches, which is definitely how we feel and what we know happened. So this is from a place of wanting to help them, from love. Obviously, we benefit, but they benefit too massively by doing this, and they're just a bit scared. So if we can help them help themselves, then that's going to be really, really beneficial. So we'll go into that in another section, but we do have that section in the script of here's the common objections. What happens? Let's say we've answered all of the objections. Are you waiting for something again after that? Once you've kind of like said, okay, this is how this bit works, or you need to speak to your partner, blah blah blah. What happens next? I know we're going to go on to taking the payment, getting that investment, but what's the kind of transition from those objections? How do you know when you're kind of at the point where it's the right point to take the payment?
Yeah, and first of all, I think it's a really good point you make, Rob, about having something written down for the key objections, because the worst thing you want to do is they say, oh, I need to speak to my partner. If you don't have if you can't pull something out of your mind that you've already know, a good, a good response to that, that's going to still help them, make a decision and come to a decision today. Or if you just end up going, I don't know, eventually you're just going to say, all right, fine. Well, no problem. Just speak to your partner and just get back to me when you can. What that's going to mean is they're going to go away. They're going to, not going to be a yes. People change their mind as soon as they're out of that call. People are much more likely to convince themselves that actually they can do it by themselves, etc., which they may not be able to. So once you've done all the objections, there's going to be this is where I think our sales guys are much better than me. But in the objection handling process, so you'll go through each objection, I need to speak to my partner. Okay, we talk about that a bit, or the price is a bit more than I expected. We talk about that for a bit. Maybe we drop down to a slightly lower priced option. Maybe we talk about payment plans, whatever it is. But at some point, you've got to say, okay, well, how about we just get you signed up and we'll start getting you results. So you just need to transition about like, right, let's get you signed up then. Let's get you on board. And you might need to do that a few times. Let's get you signed up then. Let's get you going. Until eventually that the person that you're talking to, they go, amazing. Yes, brilliant. So at that point, it's then just the process of going through the payment process. Again, like the price bit, it's just about kind of playing it cool, making it easy, making it really kind of smooth. We like to take payments over the phone, because you find that if you send someone a link, there's a couple of things. So if you send someone a link, they've got to be in a position to have a computer or whatever available and have all their card details available to enter into this form and fill it out, blah blah blah. It's actually more effort for somebody to go away with the link and then put all their details in themselves and sign up. And also, if you take the payment over the phone and you get them signed up during the phone, you can then also move into kind of the onboarding process and answer any additional questions, help someone get set up, help them get actually started with the program. Because another thing we found is, someone doesn't get started with the program, they're not going to see any results. They're probably not going to see any results, and they're probably going to ask for their money back after a couple of weeks, because they'll be, you've got to really help. It's your job to really get them started with that process. So when you ask you for the details over the phone, I like to just take it step by step. So first of all, ask like, okay, what's your full name? What's your best email? What's your address? Eventually, what's your card details? What's the best card to use for this? Go through all of that. Go through any additional sort of payment verifications or all of that. Be very kind of reassuring through the whole process, letting them know what's going to happen step by step. You're going to see a verification come up. You'll need to go into your banking app and just approve that. Just be very, very reassuring, very, very professional. Take all of those details down, get them signed up, get the payments and everything set up. And then once you've done that, we've really got all of the kind of awkward or difficult bits that people might experience out of the way.
And I think there's a few things I've learned in doing this as well over the years, which maybe if someone's newer to sales is important to mention. So things like you said of being really matter of fact about it, which comes over time, but you can try it at the beginning anyway. So knowing like how to ask for the card number, just like the insurance, when you do your car insurance, you usually have to do it over the phone. I know it's a bit better now, but definitely in the past, you had to always do it over the phone. And they go, okay, when you're ready, just read out that your long card number when you're ready, rather than like, oh, do you need to go and find your cards or what card? Just really, really, really smooth with it and go, whenever you're ready, just let me know your long card number. They might go, oh, I need to go and find my card. No problem at all. Just let me know when you're ready. You can hear them running around the house, getting in their handbag or whatever, getting their wallet out, and then they'll start to read it out. And I don't read it back to them because also they might be worried that you're in a public place or someone else is going to overhear it. So it's learning all these things. So going, okay, first digit, type it in. Yep. Type them in. Yep. Perfect. What's the expiry date? Perfect. And what's the 3 digits on the back? Or this is a good one to know. American Express has 4 digits on the front. So having that knowledge again puts them really at ease. Oh, this person does this a lot. They're really experienced. If it's an American Express, because it usually pops up if you're typing that in, or you might say, what card would you like to use? And they say American Express, then you can say that. Or you go, if you don't know what the card is, what's the CVC, the security code or the CVC code? It might be 3 digits on the back, or if you're using an Amex, it'll be the 4 digits on the front. Again, that makes it sound like you know what you're talking about. And those are kind of the tricks of the trade, I suppose, that again get that over the line. So I think that was a key thing for me. Are there any other considerations with taking payment, like tricks that you use?
Yeah, I think there's almost another opportunity for some objection handling at this point, where people might say, they might get to the point where they're about to read the card number out and they suddenly think, hang on, I don't actually know who you are. Is this a scam? Should I be reading my card? Should I be reading these details over to you? So you may have to give a bit more reassurance at that point. Obviously, what we do, it is a legit business, but it isn't a scam, anything like that. So, but still, the amount of things out there, different like banking scams and insurance, all of those things where people ring you up and try and get your card details, it's a valid concern. So in that situation, again, it's just about being really confident with it, really smooth, and just being reassuring, like, oh no, it's a complete legit business. How about, okay, I'm just going to text you over a link to our Trustpilot rating so that you can see, that we're actually a legit company. I'm going to send you a link to our business on Company's House, and you can see my name there. The director is Ben Hughes, and here's our trading address, and blah blah blah. So you can give somebody a lot more kind of reassurance through that it is an actual genuine process. Maybe sometimes you'll get someone who says, I don't want to give the details over the phone. No problem at all. We'll then just create a payment link, we'll send them that direct link, and we'll just say on the phone, you can see that link that's come through. Just fill out your details there. Just let me know when you've done that. And those details will all be saved in our secure system. And we won't have access to any of your card information. So it's just about, being reassuring and just making sure that you're giving a lot of confidence in the whole process.
Yeah, and I think it takes some patience at that point, doesn't it? Because it does happen where people freak out or get worried, and just having that kind of like friendly curiosity again, like, okay, what is it you're concerned about? Okay, no problem at all. Let me send you that link, as you said, and being patient that they go, okay, let me scroll through it. And often when you start having that discussion and start going, yeah, I'll send you this thing, you go, oh no, it does sound fine, rather than trying to convince them and go, no, I'll just get signed up and then you'll see it's real or anything like that. I think it's if you're rushing it, then it's when people freak out and run away, and obviously it is a nerve-wracking thing, so it's understanding that as well. So let's say payment's gone through successfully. We've got the first payment, whether it's upfront, it's installments, whatever the amount. What's the last step? We've done 12 steps. The last step that needs to happen to make sure this is kind of a slick process and they don't then panic and want a refund.
So the final process or final step is the onboarding process. So it's important that you have something in place to help explain what's going to happen next, what they need to do next, what actions they need to take, what they should expect to receive from us. So, we'll tell people, welcome on board. At this stage, you can turn from kind of, you've been like a salesperson up to this point, and you can now transition into, you're kind of like a coach now. It's like, welcome on board. Really excited to work with you. I'm so glad to have you on board. Next thing that's going to happen is we'll send you a welcome email. We're going to post you a welcome pack in the post, which will have this in it and that in it. In the welcome email, there'll be an intake form. So just click the link in there, make sure you fill that out, give us all the information we need. We also need to book in an onboarding call. So then we'll schedule the onboarding call during the initial sales call with the coach. So they've got that next touch point booked in already. A lot of other things that automatically happen after this as well. Like the coach will get a notification and send them out a welcome video. This is a whole other kind of process though about how to onboard people into the program. but we'll tell them, we'll make it really clear what's going to happen after the process. And then we'll also make it really clear about if there's any other terms and conditions about how the membership works. So, for example, ours is a rolling subscription and it automatically continues past the end of the 360, well, however many months they've signed up for automatically. So we just need to explain that, make it really clear. This is how your membership works. Here's how you can cancel if you need to cancel in the future. And the final thing is just, is there anything else you want to ask me at this point? So they might then have additional questions about how anything works, blah, blah, blah. And the final thing I also like to say is brilliant. You know, if you have any issues, if you struggle with anything, if any of the information doesn't come through, please just drop me a text message on this number and I'll make sure I get it sorted for you. So I think it's really important to make sure that people are looked after and that they've, you know, that you haven't just taken their card details, taken their money, and then, because if they feel that you've done that and then you've just kind of left them on their own and that they haven't received anything, they're going to be very likely to turn around and say, hang on, I'm not sure about this. Please can I have a refund? So you need to really make sure people feel welcomed into the program and feel really sort of taken care of as well.
Yeah, that buyer's remorse, that panic. I think we've all experienced it where you bought something kind of expensive, like most of the stuff we do is relatively expensive, and then you start to question, was this a good decision? Are people going to laugh at me when they find out I've been scammed or whatever? You know, you start to think that through. So we've got to really work to alleviate that. And as you've kind of alluded to, we've done loads of things over the years. So we've got welcome packs sent out. We've got onboarding call with the coach. We've got welcome video from the coach. We've got the welcome email. We're actually improving that still with some coach bios that are going to go out before the welcome video from the coach. So this really sets them at ease of, oh, these people know what they're doing. They're going to take care of me. I've made a good decision and it's going to work for me. So we've gone through the 13 steps. I know there's a lot of steps there, and we've refined this over the past sort of 5 years of doing sales call. But this has been a key step to that 3.6 million in total revenue to over 1 million in revenue last year for our business, is having this and then having other people be able to put it into practice because it's systemized. It's in that sales document. And I think it's important to just say this works well for our business and our customer. Your sales process, it probably needs to follow those same steps, but might sound or look quite different if you're selling to males or if you're selling to a different target market or selling a different product. But it's something you're going to constantly refine over time. It's going to something you're going to constantly improve. Before we wrap this up, Ben, is there anything else you think people need to know about creating a sales script and a sales process that we've not already covered?
I think only what you said is just that the process may need to evolve over time, and the best way to sort of evolve your sales process and your sales script is really just by listening to the people that you have those conversations with. So you will notice, you know, when you'll see that people have the same struggles, the same problems, they ask the same questions at certain points in the process. And once the more of a gauge you can get on those things, the more that you can personalize your script to work for the individual that you specifically work with, you specifically hopefully have a niche and work in that specific niche, because that's another key thing that we've talked about previously.
Yeah, it's definitely another topic we could go in depth with that's really, really important. So look, we've got loads more we want to share, tons more stories about the successes and failures we've had along the way. But we hope you've enjoyed today's episode. And if you have found it helpful, two things, please just hit that share button to share with another coach or business owner who you think could benefit from hearing this. It's a really important one that everyone needs to get right, this sales process and sales script. And look, thank you again for tuning in. I'm going to catch you next week for another episode, and we will see you then.